Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide. We are live on the network service of the NTA. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. Welcome. Latest report from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control confirms 5 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria, bringing the total count of confirmed cases to 51 in the country. 2 of the new cases are in Lagos, 2 in the Federal Capital Territory and 1 in Rivers State. 3 of the 5 new cases are returning travelers into Nigeria, while 2 are close contacts of a confirmed case. The breakdown puts the number of cases in Lagos at 32, Abuja 10, Ogun 3, Bauchi, Oyo, Edo, Osun, Ekiti and Rivers States with 1 each. Of the 51 confirmed cases in Nigeria, 48 are active cases. 2 of them have been discharged and 1 death recorded. Meanwhile, there are indications that about 6 more patients who were being treated for the COVID-19 in Lagos will be discharged soon. Meanwhile, the federal government says it will keep reviewing its strategies to curb the spread of coronavirus in the country, as it is strengthening the contact tracing methods and advocacy at ensuring social distance compliance. These were parts of submissions of the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, at a press briefing to update Nigerians on ongoing response to the COVID-19 outbreak in Nigeria.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has deployed rapid response teams to affected states to support response activities. I want to here already strongly urge all health facilities at all levels, whether public or private, to be on high alert for healthcare and also for healthcare workers of all cadres to maintain a high index of suspicion and to give full cooperation to contact tracers everywhere. One major item in Nigeria's disease containment strategy is social distancing, which has been repeatedly announced. Directives have thus been issued at national and state levels to limit all large gatherings, including religious, social and political gatherings, schools, events, and etc.
Dr. Ehanire says the federal government is working closely with states to conduct contact tracing to identify those who have been in close contact with confirmed cases.
The NCDC communication campaign titled Take Responsibility has kicked off. It is a call to all residents in the country to join hands to be proactive in taking greater individual and collective responsibility for the prevention and control of the spread of COVID-19 in Nigeria. You can join this collective effort via your social media platforms. I strongly urge individuals, businesses, professional bodies, media houses, and all committed Nigerians to take ownership of this campaign by developing and communicating prevention messages.
The health minister also assures fair distribution of all aids received, with Lagos State having the larger share, and that persons confirmed positive are responding to treatment. And to further intensify efforts in the fight against COVID-19 is a call on the private sector, businessmen and philanthropists to come to the aid of the government in curbing the scourge. While commending the government and the National Center for Disease Control, NCDC, for their efforts so far, former Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, Professor Abdusalam Nasidi, noted that there might be need for total lockdown if the disease continues to spread. He, however, maintained that to do this, government will have to put measures in place to take care of the vulnerable members of the society.
You have to get the police to come out or whatever, civil defense and all this, and then you have to get a special ones that have trained how to, keep themselves protected. Then secondly, they have to keep distance. They can't. There's no more coming too close and say you are arresting, you are putting an anchor. That means you will go to the same isolation ward together with them.
In the area of respirators for the affected persons, he says Nigeria does not have enough and that there might be need to rely on artificial respirators in the future.
Anywhere they go and they see that there are increased number of people sneezing, coughing, there's evidence that some people might be having the symptoms of coronavirus and all this, and they should report.
He also emphasized the need to involve private laboratories in testing and diagnosis. Meanwhile, current realities indicate a correlation between the rising number of confirmed cases in Nigeria and the level of public anxiety. Are we doing enough as individuals and units and communities to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and help the containment plans by the authority? Medical experts have continued to call for calm, urging Nigerians to engage in positive activities and the consumption of food and supplements capable of boosting the body's immune system as a defense mechanism against the virus. We are now being joined by an expert in neurotoxins and executive director in country, Medicare, Dr. John To Agbide. You're welcome to Nationwide.
My pleasure.
Okay, I'm just wondering, how can you explain the level of the body's immune system and a person's chances of survival against this infectious virus?
Well, that is a very good question. It is very important for us to understand the biology of COVID virus or viruses in general. The virus is not a living thing. It is a particle. So what we can do while it is still outside, that's why virologists use the term inactivate, or we can attenuate the virulence, that is their own harm, the ability to go. But once the virus gets into the body, the virus, the way it can survive and then multiply in the body is to infect our body cells, the normal cells. That is how it is, the virus is able to multiply and infect other cells. The virus cells, infected cells becomes factories of, multiplication. So with this, you can see that honestly, there is no such definitive treatment for, the virus per se. The best way is for the body cells, which are the immune cells, that now recognizes their own brothers as infected and classify them as foreign. These immune cells only that will attack those foreign, those are infected cells with the virus. And how do you do this? The bottom line is to boost your own immune system, to make sure that the immune system is actually up and running. There are several ways you can do this. We talk about supplement. Top on the list now all over the world is vitamin C. Vitamin C supplementation, then you talk about vitamin D, then you talk about, vitamin A. However, in addition to help vitamin C or vitamin A to work properly in addressing this issue of boosting the immune system, you look at, there are factors that I consider. Just like you have 7 days of the week, I want to summarize this at 7 points. Number one is what? It is what I call food. Make sure that your food is the right type of food. I talk about the type of oil, because if you use the wrong oil, it will affect the body cells membrane to potentiate a good immune system. Then we talk about under that food, you also consider what you call probiotics. Probiotics are very important because now 80% of our immune system is actually generated from the gut. So if you use the probiotics, they are the probiotics that actually help what we call the microbiome, that is the useful and the bad bacteria that promote our own, the immune system.
Can you talk to the man on the street on that probiotics?
Well, probiotics, pro means for, and bio means living. So these are products. These are supplements that help maintain the population of the good bacteria in our stomach.
Okay, when we talk about supplements, you take supplements for tomorrow. We are here today with the COVID-19. How can we quickly boost our system?
Well, that's why rather than go oral, the best way to really boost your immune system is to take this supplement in an injectable form. Because when you take things orally, first of all, only 30% is really absorbed. The rest of it actually goes out. But if you go intravenously, if you go them by injection, they go in faster and start working.
I will take you on another issue that is very, very important. How do we relate spirituality with the physical in terms of reacting and fighting this pandemic now?
You actually ran ahead of me. I was going to call, spirituality is one of those 7 points that I had mentioned. Okay. So spirituality is very important. For you to be spirit, you realize that there is a greater creation. So the fear which actually suppresses your immune system is gone. You put everything in God's hands. Whatever your faith is, whether Christian or Muslim, you know that there is a greater creator. Then let me quickly come this in. I just talk about food. The other one is exercise. Adequate exercise is also very important. You are advised to at least exercise for about 40 minutes in a day. That helps towards building your own immune system. The other thing is detoxification. Detoxification is very important. Okay. Remember I told you the GIT, that is the stomach is what controls the immune system. Then others include management of stress and then, sleep, and then, the others. But
I would just like you to make a clarification now. You talked about prayer, which is very, very important.
Very.
Some people believe I will just sit down and pray and do nothing and I'm free from this. Can you just shed a little bit of light on this?
Well, there is the difference between, reality and then imagination. The truth is this: if you just fold your arms and keep praying, but you are not going by the guidelines of prevention which we are being told, and then you don't even take care to make sure that your immune system is really boosted, I think that will be more of a fallacy. Faith is good. I mean, there is a healing, but do the right thing. Even it is said, heaven helps those that help themselves.
Thank you very much, Dr. John Agbide, for coming to Nationwide. We appreciate.
It's my pleasure.
All right, moving on. Okay. As part of measures to contain the coronavirus spread in the Federal Capital Territory, the authority ordered the closure of major markets with exception of food and medics. Let's now join Habiba Oladipo, who is at the Utako market, for a situation report.
It is day 2 on ban on all commercial activities in markets across the Federal Capital Territory, with the exception of those selling food items. And at the Utako market, there seems to be like no ban at all. There's heavy traffic of people coming in and out of the market, buying many things. I have with me Jamiu. He's an official of the market, and he's going to tell us the reason behind this traffic gridlock.
The management say Utako market should close. That is why many people that get something for inside, they are carrying the goods, come outside to sell them. That is why the motto, we are seeing say the place, the road, they very blocked today.
It's a mixed reaction here at the Utako market. While some are counting their losses, others say it's for the benefit of all to stay at home and close up shop. And task force is right behind me, making sure that traders comply with the directive.
Even yesterday, there was no notification. Just this morning, as we are arriving to the market, we noticed that the market is locked. Now we don't have money to feed ourselves, and we don't know what to do.
It's not affecting us too much because it's our health that they are talking about. It's not all about the money, but all about our health. As long as it will regulate the infection in the system, it's okay.
So if you're thinking of making your way down to the Utako market, your best bet is just consumables, vegetables and other food items, as other shops have been under lock and key. It's back to you in the studios.
Thank you, Habiba. And on security, all seem peaceful in the Federal Capital Territory, with residents going about their routine, even in the face of the stay-at-home directive by authorities to help curtail the spread of the dreaded coronavirus. Is there any form of enforcement by security agencies in the nation's capital? We will now join Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu, standing somewhere in the Federal Capital Territory. Hello, Ilyasu, can you hear me? Okay, how would you describe the level of enforcement of security agencies in the Federal Capital Territory to the stay-at-home order?
Well, it's been one of a funny situation. Earlier on, we were at some very, very strategic locations across the city center, and the picture we got was one of people going about their usual businesses without, much recourse to the advice by the authorities on the needs, by the authorities to, keep distance and, stay at home. Of course, the advice was one to say, just play a very subtle role in this fight against this common enemy, which was stay indoors, keep safe, and ensure that, the disease doesn't spread beyond contention. But that, of course, seemed to be too much to ask of residents of the FCT. Earlier on, I was at the Area 2 Neighborhood Center, and the picture I saw was picture of one that speaks, nonchalant attitude by residents to the advice by the health authorities. Also, visits to some market locations across the city show a picture of lockup of some of the shops. Not all, some were locked up. You see security operatives going to places to ask, business owners to lock up their shops. But you see a situation where some persons, of course, when they are asked to lock up the shops, they lock up and then, bring wares out on the streets to sell. And of course, we also go to other locations where you see, items like hand sanitizer, hand gloves, and of course, the face mask has fast become the new gold in the FCT now. Even across the street, just a while ago,
okay, Yakubu, let me.
Men who came across this area, selling the product. And that is the picture we've been getting. And then also earlier on, there was an emergency security meeting of heads of security agencies in the FCT to discuss, of course, I'm sure strategies is to introduce to you the Commandant Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Mr. Patrick Upan, who is here to talk to me on efforts by security agencies. Sir, as it is, what is the situation in the FCT?
I would say the situation is calm, and for us, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps personnel, the Commandant General, Abdullahi Gana Mohamadu, has activated the Crisis Management Department personnel. To that, he has ordered the immediate deployment of 9,500 personnel from the Crisis Management Department across the 36 states, the FCT command. So those personnel are on standby, and we are ready to ensure compliance to government directives as regards the COVID-19.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Well, you've heard from him. It's one of efforts by the various security agencies to ensure that the residents of the FCT keep safe while effort continues to. That's it from
Thank you, Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu, reporting somewhere in the Federal Capital Territory. And to shed more light on the partial lockdown in Abuja and expectations of the Federal Capital Territory Authority is Dr. Mohammed Kawu, Acting Secretary, Health and Human Services Secretariat of the FCT. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Okay. How optimistic is the FCTA in achieving results on this restriction being imposed on residents of the FCT?
Yeah, thank you. FCT is very optimistic. The FCT administration just had a meeting with all the relevant stakeholders that have business in the restrictions. The Police Commissioner, FCT, the SSS, the road safety, all other security agencies were in attendance with top management of FCT. And a lot of decisions have been taken. One of the decisions is that the FCT Police Commissioner has directed DPOs in all the nook and crannies of FCT to use their existing roving task forces to enforce compliance.
I'm sorry to cut you short a bit. We just saw a live report from the street in Abuja, and the reporter reported a nonchalant attitude of residents of the FCT. I understand you had a meeting, but are you optimistic that you're likely to achieve the intended result with the kind of attitude we see?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. These decisions were taken much earlier, 3, 4, 5 days ago, and the meeting was to review what has been happening and take further actions on what to do to enforce. So, in line of that, in line with this, the CP directed all the DPOs to ensure that they enforce this. But let me tell you one thing. Whatever enforcement, the citizens must be sensitized properly. If I know the implication, I will abide. So we are combining enforcement by the security agencies and continuous sensitization for residents to know the implication of not obeying the health authorities.
We understand your ability to order those that work for the FCT and the federal service, but what about the informal sector? On my way to work today, I saw a lot of people that are in the informal sector on the road, you know, all these artisans and the rest. What efforts it's been put in place to address this set of people?
Yeah, I can tell you about 5 task forces have been set up.
Okay.
Now, there are markets on education, on religious activities, on traffic control, on parks and recreation. These task forces will swing into action, and each of the task forces will handle the area that is relevant to it.
Finally, do you have any intention now or in future to embark on like disinfecting the FCT?
Certainly, it's one of the things we are considering.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much
so
for
much.
coming on Nationwide.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's now time to pause for some messages. Nationwide continues shortly.
The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is spreading at an alarming rate all over the globe, including Nigeria. With the number of infected persons in Nigeria increasing daily, prevention is better than cure. Coronavirus has no cure. The virus spreads from one person, who affects 2 persons, and by the time the affected person is isolated, the 2 persons have affected 4, and it keeps spreading. You must take preventive measures to save yourself and that of the people around you. Always wash your hands with soap and water. Put distance between yourself and others. Whenever you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth. Clean and disinfect surfaces. Stay at home if you're sick and contact the proper authorities. Together, we can cut down the spread of the coronavirus. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest TV network.
My name's Mr. Muftau Abiodun Balogun. We started this business 4 years ago, and this is the production outlet where we do about 4,000 to 5,000 birds per day. With the closure of the border recently, we've been experiencing massive surge in demand. Our sales per day now is going to be between 15 to 20,000 birds. We needed to expand all avenues because of the multiplier effect it's creating. And the most interesting thing about this closure is that many of my farmers today are farmers we recruited recently, and they are young graduates. What the government is doing will lead us right. And I can tell you, If the government sustain this thing, sky will not even be our limit.
Okay, guys, let's do this.
Action. You can deceive everyone, but you certainly cannot deceive me. I see you.
But if the package is faulty, there'll be no buyers. So I suggest you sit down and have a talk with your husband.
Once you have faith, everything is possible.
You heard him, right?
You needed help and I helped you.
This place will do so. The doors will walk. You mean you still work for Matthew Osage?
What?
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
Thanks for rejoining us. The global scale and speed of educational disruption from the coronavirus pandemic is unparalleled, going by United Nations projection. This comes as the coronavirus pandemic reached deeper across the world with a sweep down of all schools in affected countries and has intensified the educational upheaval of nearly 300 million students globally. In Nigeria, pupils and students are out of school and now home with their parents. How are the parents coping? Justin Bem Onye finds out.
Please note, we wish to appeal to all schools to please shut down.
Just last week, the Nigerian government at all levels gave directives that following concerns about the spread of coronavirus, schools should be closed indefinitely. What this means is that thousands of students from 62 public schools in Abuja alone, not to mention the private ones, are on forced break. More so, that these parents, who are mostly workers, are also directed to stay at home to observe social distancing. Well, from a public health standpoint, authorities see it that closing schools is a useful measure. From a parenting standpoint, the parents see that it's more likely to be incredibly stressful and challenging. But does it have to be? Hussein Abubakar, an FCT resident, is one of the workers observing the stay-at-home directive with his daughters. For them, the abrupt and unplanned holidays equally gives them time to play together as one family.
Oh, definitely. I'm very comfortable with them around. And of course, they are bored. They are asking a lot of questions. Why are they home at this time? Abruptly, they are asked to go back home. And we are trying to tell them that, look, there is a problem on ground. All this going out, playing around, touching things should stop.
For this other family just next flat, Hassana Abubakar with her kids say that they are just fine with staying at home. It has been the perfect time for them to frequently educate and enforce good personal hygiene, as well as pray for the healing of the nation and the world.
From time to time, I mobilize them or I gather them to pray, because this is the time for us to pray, to turn back to God. And again, we are conscious about hygiene. I used to teach them how to sanitize their hands.
Education may be disrupted, but that doesn't mean the kids have to lose out. Interactions from these parents have indicated that in trying to engage the kids, it is better to find creative ways to support them during this uncertain and disruptive time, or maybe create school at home, or better still, adapt and relish the newfound holidays. In Abuja, Justin Bem Onye, NTA News.
Thanks, Justin. And still talking about coping with the COVID-19, curbing the spread of the coronavirus outbreak in Nigeria translates to seeing more people embrace self-isolation and practice social distancing and other forms of physical restrictions. This is also possible and quite likely that these social restrictions could induce fear and tension and play on the psychology of an individual facing the threat of a killer virus outbreak. James Komolafe joins me live now, and he is a behavioral health expert. You're welcome to Nationwide.
Thank you so very much. Good to be here once again, especially at this time of COVID-19.
Sure. Is it possible for an individual to be mentally focused and productive when faced with physical restrictions exacerbated by fear, tension, and even the rumor of death all around?
Well, that's why it's very vital as we keep within the rules of social distancing and all other precautions. We should also know that beyond or complement to social distancing is emotional distancing, because you see, how you think, feel, and reason, and even imagine has a great deal on your life, on your health, and on your holistic personality. So it's very vital, no matter the COVID out there and all the stories around it, you are still very responsible to your behavioral health. The health of your behavior is very critical. What you do, what you don't permit, and what you do permit. Now that children are at home, it should be the best of the moment to build bridges across board and to ensure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So it is not essentially what is happening out there, but what is happening within you and your coping mechanisms to keep fit even while the world burns.
Well, this ability to switch from, you are confined and coming out and being productive, it's what I'm trying to understand. How do you achieve this?
Critically, when we talk about social distancing, for which for a while now has been bothering my mind.
Isolation, basically.
Which is isolation, for which an integral part of it is isolation. It's a complement of three key issues. One is prevention. The other one is protection. And the third one, and very critical, is production. So you must see this moment as a moment not just to isolate yourself, because there is the negative side of isolation people don't know about.
That's the problem.
Which is the issue having to do with the third critical variable called the production. So what are the productive value creation initiatives and activities you can create for yourself to ensure that you channel your energy in the right perspective? Spiritual energy, energy of the heart that connects you to your God so that you can be closer to God now. Mental energy, energy of the mind that keeps your focus in tune and in harmony with who you are and what your focus in life is. And then emotional energy, which is the blend of these two energies, and physical. So it's a holistic thing for which when you put everything together, you vibrate well and live well.
Okay, that is a time for reflection and moving on.
Very vital.
Thank you very much, Mr. Komolafe.
Thank you so very much.
And moving on, Michael is in our Lagos Network Center with more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Michael. We seem to be having issues with our audio from our Lagos Network Center. But moving on, the federal government has restated its determination to adopting an aggressive approach in enforcing measures aimed at containing the spread of the COVID-19. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed announced this at a press briefing in Abuja. Over now to Anthony Forsen.
The truth is that time is running out. If we don't urgently and more aggressively enforce the measures.
Indeed, time is running out. It is in view of this that the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed explained that the federal government's tough measures will include stopping interstate and intertown travels except on essential services, closing all motor parks and interstate rail stations just as train services have been suspended. The federal government will also deploy firefighting and adaptable vehicles and personnel to fumigate cities and towns.
We'll be considering and announcing new measures from time to time, but rest assured that whatever decisions we take will be in the best interest of Nigerians.
The federal government, the minister added, is taking measures to increase the number of bed spaces for isolation for suspects. With Nigeria recording 51 cases so far, there are over 4,300 people of interest who are being traced.
Many are busy engaging in meaningless criticisms instead of complying with stipulated directives to keep people safe. Some Nigerians who flee into the country from overseas filled wrong addresses and phone numbers in their forms, making it difficult to trace them when the need arises. Some Nigerians defied orders to stay away from large gatherings, while some religious leaders willfully flouted the directives to ensure social distancing. Some people up to now live in denial. They claim it will not be their portion.
The minister, however, cleared the air on the rising instances of fake news, which he said is not helping the fight against the pandemic. For instance, he said the story about only 2 ventilators in Abuja and 1 moved to the villa is false, just as the report of a British Airways flight, which was due to land in Nigeria on Wednesday, is also another fake news. Most worrisome is the story on President Muhammadu Buhari. He, however, expressed gratitude to airlines who have suspended their operations, describing it as a boost to government's effort in checking the spread of the pandemic. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
A Chinese company, Mutual Commitment Group, has acknowledged the role of the media in the fight against the coronavirus the world over, saying media workers truly need protection. To this end, the company has donated face masks and other protective equipment to the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. Muplang Dakok has that.
Of the Nigerian Television Authority as essential service providers, despite federal government stay-at-home orders, still work daily, specially saddled with the task of informing and educating the public, even as Nigeria fights the coronavirus. With an understanding of the task in view, the Mutual Commitment Group of China, operational in Nigeria, has donated protective suits, gloves, and surgical face masks to NTA.
We in the media have the responsibility to go in there, be at the forefront of the battle, get the true perspective and disseminate them to the public. And for us to be able to do that, we have to interact with medical personnel, we have to interact sometimes with even infected patients.
The protective health materials are part of the first 50,000 of 150,000 materials brought into Nigeria by the company for distribution to various organizations and offices.
So, supporting the NTA, their reporters, are supporting this counter-virus war. Without their contribution now, the war cannot succeed on time. So that's why we feel that it's very necessary we do it immediately.
This handshake by the Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, and the Group Managing Director of the Chinese company is not out of defiance of the hygiene rule, but significant that together the world will defeat the coronavirus and soon the world will resume handshaking. In Abuja, Moplang Dakok, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has urged the Nigerian Correctional Services to take urgent steps to protect inmates at the various correctional centers nationwide from the coronavirus. The House Committee on Reformatory Institutions says it is imperative for the government to ensure that those in confinement are protected from the virus at this critical time. The committee called on Nigerian Correctional Services to put in place urgent measures to safeguard inmates and staff of the correctional service from contracting the coronavirus, which is currently ravaging the world. We now go over to Port Harcourt City, the River State capital, where residents are still reeling from the news of a positive confirmed case. NTA's Ijoma Ugoke is live and brings us an update on whether or not the ambience is calm in the Garden City. Hello, Ijoma. What is the latest from the state government regarding the confirmed case in River State? Another audio challenge there. Moving on, as neighboring countries continue to record confirmed cases of coronavirus, the need to boost the capacity of security operatives to forestall movement of persons across the land border has been emphasized. This was at a COVID-19 sensitization forum organized by the Office of Disease Surveillance and Notification in collaboration with Imeko Afon local government area in Ogun State. Musa Toliet has that. Well, while we wait for Musa, let's go over to Kano, where the state government has ordered the immediate closure of both land and air borders effective Friday, 27th March, to avoid interstate spread of the global pandemic. Fatima Sanusi Karaye is on this and brings us the details.
Coronavirus is changing how people live their daily lives. Looking at its mode of transmission and how it has affected various aspects of life reveals the unique nature of this crisis. To this end, Kano State Government viewed the situation of COVID-19 as serious, especially with the recent ugly development in the worst affected nations across the globe. Therefore, as precautionary measures, the state government took stringent steps by shutting down schools, ministries, suspension of social gatherings, and luxurious buses from entering the state to halt the spread of the deadly virus. However, at one of the motor parks in the metropolis, where the luxurious buses usually dock, people were seen going about their normal businesses as buses were lined up ready to transport passengers to other parts of the country.
And of course, we know that this one now is something that concerns lives of the people around. And now what we are trying to do is that we are trying to harness information from the state government. Let us know the limits that we can operate.
After the Kano State Governor called on all the civil servants in the state to stay at home for 14 days, all in a bid to fight the spread of coronavirus. The civil servants are complying to the call, but the story is different in business community as everyone is going about his normal business, mindless of the coming danger.
What is sad is the defiance to the coronavirus social distancing order as people move around in public transport carefree, where passengers are crowded in an enclosed space, talking and breathing on one another, oblivious of the impending danger. Professor Isa Sadiq Abubakar, Director, Center for Infectious Diseases Research, Bayero University, Kano, speaks further.
So it is a very dangerous thing that our people are still continuing to do their social interactions. Large gatherings are still happening. If you go to motor parks, if you go to other public places like markets, religious places, there are people still coming together in group to interact. And that is not good for the transmission of this virus because it means that many people will at one time get infected.
It is in view of this that the Kano State Government ordered the closure of all routes linking the state from other parts of the country, effective from Friday 27th March by 12 midnight.
As the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. Stay safe, please stay at home. In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Karaye, NTA News.
Very well, Fatima. And compliance level on the prevention of the spread of the coronavirus disease in Ibadan appears low, with social distancing and the stay-at-home order partially observed. Kayode Oladosun, who went round major centers in the metropolis, takes it up from here.
Amidst growing concern over the coronavirus pandemic in the country and measures being taken by the authorities to curtail its spread, this situation has begun to take its toll on many commercial activities in Ibadan. Some commercial institutions restricting the influx of customers into the banking hall to maintain social distancing, as encouraged by health experts. The situation was also similar in some of the motor parks visited.
And say it's very easy or it's very difficult because of flying up in the sun like this. It's not good.
Not been well because people are afraid of the virus. Even though if some customer will come, they will put on gloves, something like that. Most of we have been seeing a lot of things which people have been applying.
Market activities in the metropolis was a beehive of activities as traders and buyers were in close contact, neglecting any form of distance. However, traders cried out of low patronage.
If we are not to sell markets, we are not going to eat anything. It will affect many people.
There are some that are cheaper, depends on where individual buys their own goods.
In the face of the present outbreak of COVID-19, preventive measures like social distancing, stay at home, and proper hygiene still remain the recommended course of actions to curtail the spread. In Ibadan, Kayode Oladosun, NTA News.
We have more reports for you, but that will be after these messages. To stay.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
We have 4 girls and 2 boys. Stephen is my younger brother. I was called on 8th of May that he had an accident. While he was on call, he came out to buy food that will sustain him to the next morning.
Una no vex. Una never hear of coronavirus. Prevention is better pass cure. See this thing. Hand sanitizer. Now one way to take prevent coronavirus with that. See, another one we say we go wash our hands clean with soap and with water. Another one we say when we want sneeze, we want cough. Oh yeah, may we dab together. Correct people. If you see say you get symptom of fever or difficulty in breathing, I beg, make you day your day, make you sit down. Nigeria, our culture they promote cleanliness. Let the celebration.
This message is from NTA and NCAC.
Thanks for rejoining us. Activities have come to a halt in all train stations across the country, following the directive by the federal government for the suspension of train movement. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, who was at the Idu train station earlier today, tells us more.
The ever-busy entrance to the departure hall is quiet, unlike what it is to be, noisy and bubbling. You only sight few essential staff and some security personnel at the wall, and notice pointing out to passengers that the train service has been suspended with immediate effect. The seats are empty. No movement, no passengers, in compliance with the directive of the federal government for the safety of all.
But what is going on right now, you see that the staff are really doing what we're supposed to do. That is, the maintenance is ongoing. Cleaning of the coaches very thoroughly is ongoing.
With the suspension of the Abuja-Kaduna trail movement, staff of the Nigerian Railway Corporation has embarked on patrol along the rail track to prevent vandalism, and they are doing that with what is called rail bus. As you can see, then they are moving on, and this rail bus is used specifically for this purpose.
These are critical federal government infrastructure that needs to be protected, and we have the civil defense. We have the Nigerian police that are assigned to do this job. We have the Nigerian police that right now the patrol on the track is going to be sustained.
Business outside the station has been affected by the train suspension. Oyinaya Kaloka, NTA News.
And I'm told we can now rejoin Michael in our Lagos Network Center for more reports. Hello, Michael.
Hello, how are you? Following the closure of markets in Lagos for 7 days, there is a sense of worry by traders who are asking what next. Dr. Ogun, who visited the markets before the closure, reports that they are concerned about the well-being and upkeep of their families who they rely on their daily earnings from their hustle.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19, the principle of social distancing has been preached by the World Health Organization and governments of affected countries globally. Nigeria recorded its first victim of the virus in February, and social distancing has been one of the precautionary steps advised by health practitioners. However, the practice in most markets across Lagos has remained what it was weeks after. Only a few persons have on protective gears, and there is no available hand-washing station or sanitizers provided by market authorities. With the number of confirmed cases increasing, government has been putting steps to curtail the situation from escalating. One of such is the decision to close all markets as announced by the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, a decision that has been vehemently protested by these traders.
As I have 2 children, I'm not saying with this same work I'm doing now. So how will they survive?
Everybody come from far away, come hustle for here. If you saw them all the market shut down, make everybody no hustle. Where's all make everybody chop?
The vine is physically challenged, but makes his daily living from selling scarves at Balogun Market, despite his situation. The haste is for last-minute purchases by most people present here, while other stores have been shut and the population drastically reduced. The state government's order exempts food sellers, medicine stores, and other non-essential product providers. In Lagos, Dotun Ogunyemi, NTA News.
That is the major story trending from Lagos. The news continues with Awo in Abuja.
Thank you, Michael, but I'll take you straight to Jenny Bassi in Port Harcourt. Hello, Jenny, you're on.
Enforcement of a ban on public gathering and other measures adopted by the state to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Ogedi Nyekwe reports that the task force is headed by Governor Nyesom Wike.
The task force is to enforce the ban on public gathering across the state, ensuring that the churches, mosques, nightclubs, parks, and public cinema houses comply with the preventive measures adopted by the state. They are also to make sure that no vehicular movement to and fro the state from 6 p.m. Thursday, the 26th of March, 2020.
From Friday, the Juma services will make sure it does not take place. Sunday, we'll go to the churches to make sure that they comply with the rules. So the security agencies will immediately make sure from tomorrow all the borders will be blocked. Stay wherever you are. Don't come in. Don't go out. You only stay within our state here.
He said there will be no exemption in this case. Everyone must comply with the directives to prevent the spread of the virus to the state.
Nobody, no politician, not one. It will be a sacred, and nobody will call anybody to say, look, my brother's coming, can you allow him to enter? No.
In Port Harcourt, Ogedinyekwe, NTA News.
We are done from here. Hawa.
And Kene Ima Agbodike is next on our lineup with Sports Update.
Sports enthusiasts across the country have continued